Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Debate Club. And this is the platform where we can engage in healthy debates and discussions on various topics every week. This week, the regular host is not present, and I'll be your host. The topic for this week is witchcraft, sorcery, numerology, astrology, and other things are true despite being unscientific. Now, I would like to make one basic statement that if something is unscientific, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is false. And the other way around, scientific things are most likely true, but it can also be false at times. One example is the discovery of gravity itself, the concept of gravity. Until the Newton discovered gravity between two bodies, I mean, it was unscientific because there was no formulas or it wasn't proven yet. After he discovered it and came up with Newton's law of gravity, it became scientific. So that doesn't mean that until that point, there was no gravity or it was false. And the other way around, if there is something like gravity and we are unaware of something in some concept of this universe, that some parameter that we are not aware of which changes, then Newton's law can become inconsistent. And from that point on, gravitational law will be considered to be false. So I would say, I mean, to summarize, I would say that unscientific things can also be true. I mean, it is not a compulsory rule that only scientific things have to be true. Now, of course, there are many unscientific things followed by all the people around the world, prominent being the belief in God itself and the practice of many religions, which includes prayers, the way they pray, the place where they believe they have to pray, and the environment where they believe they have to pray. But in this session, let's focus on the lesser known side of the unscientific practices like numerology, witchcraft, sorcery, astrology, and rituals, with the first three having connection to demons or spirits, at least in the books of Abrahamic religions and perhaps Hinduism as well. Now, let me share my screen. All right, can you see my screen, both of you?
Yeah.
Okay, what is numerology? I took this from Google actually. Numerology is the study of numbers and their mystical, divine, or occult relationship to events. It also involves studying of a numerical value of letters in names and words. For example, my name is Ashwin. So they see if Ashwin is a lucky name or an unlucky name, what does it Ashwin associate with and stuff like that. And what is witchcraft? Witchcraft is the use of magic or supernatural powers, often to cause harm or misfortune to others. It can also refer to communication between the devil or the familiar or an irresistible influence. The three types are black magic, white magic, and red magic. Black magic is using the devil or evil to do something bad to others. White magic is the opposite of that, using the devil to bring good things to a person, wealth or good things or other things. Red magic is something related to love or sexual arousal or something like that, using the demon. Now, sorcery, the practice of intentionally taking on the role of a magical practitioner, often with the intent to harm. Astrology, of course, we all know, is the collection of belief systems that claim to predict human events and personality traits by studying the position of celestial objects. Now, rituals. Rituals is the sequence of activities involving gestures, words, actions, or revered objects. And then other minor things include card reading, where the card reading is, just a sec. The card reading is where people believe that there is some energy in the room. And based on energy, if you randomly pick a card, it will describe your character or your past, present, and future. I mean, it is something also related to something that we cannot see. Okay, so I have given a presentation right now. I mean, I've just given the definitions. So people, you can let me know your opinion, like regarding each and everything. Like, are they? Do you believe in them to be true? I mean, first of all, is it unscientific or scientific? Is my question to you, both of you. Okay, somebody can go first. Saurav, you want to talk?
Yeah, I can speak. So my personal opinion, to be honest, I do not know whether like these things happens or not, like numerology, witchcraft, black magic, or astrology, or tarot card reading. But couple of days back, I was just sitting in my balcony and I was just observing the surroundings. And I saw noticed this sunlight. Like all of us get the sunlight, right? So I was just observing this sunlight is actually coming out of like from some other planet or sun or other star. So this is not from within our planet Earth. So
Mm-hmm.
this sunlight is responsible for making the life happen on on our planet, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
whatever we eat, all the these green veggies or fruits. So they all like the sunlight have a big hand in growing all these products, and basically the life, even the temperature, weather on our planet Earth, it is taken care by sunlight.
Okay.
So if something like from another star, I guess we call sun as a star, right? So something from other star is making life happen on our planet, and sunlight is kind of visible to us. We can notice it, we can feel it. And
Okay.
so similarly, like the other planets, there might be vibrations or radiations or some other things which might be coming from those planets, which we may not be able to notice or feel. So those might also have impact on our life. So in
Okay.
that
Okay.
way, I guess astrology might be true. Like our Brahmins or ancient people, they might be aware about the planetary system, because it is all the planets are bounded to each other. They rotate in specific direction, specific axes. They all like maintain a specific relation to each other. So they might have impact on our lives. The way the maybe the time when we take birth, maybe the position of specific planets that might be impacting us. Yeah, so I guess there will be impact of this astrology on our lives, and this might be true. Yeah.
Okay.
So
What about rituals? What do you think about rituals? The
so
rituals that we conduct, I mean, do they have a meaning? I mean, does it change our lives? I mean, are they
rituals
scientific?
like
Like, you have to place an idol so and so position. You have to place flowers. You have to place fire, agarbatti,
mm,
or something like that. Is it scientific? Or even if it is unscientific, do you think it is true?
uh, so so even I do follow rituals, and but so whatever rituals we follow, so these are kind of continuing from maybe thousands of years. And I have noticed in different regions in within our India, people are carrying those rituals differently. For an example, let's take any festival like Diwali or Dussehra or any other festival. We do pujas, and the way we do puja differs. And the same ritual sometimes we do is kind of performed differently on some occasions. So I'm not sure if the rituals, whatever we are following, so they are the correct one or they are the wrong one. With the time, because with the generations, the meaning of those rituals have changed. But to answer your question, I guess yes, if the astrology or those things are true, then these rituals will also be true. Like the way we do kind of murti puja, pran pratishtha, and all. So that will also have some meaning. Yeah.
Okay. Next in line, anybody wants to talk? Okay, Ratna didn't listen to the this thing introduction, I believe. Ratna, my point is, if you are listening to me, that there are some unscientific things that can be true. Is those unscientific things are numerology, witchcraft, sorcery, astrology, rituals, and other minor forms like card reading and stuff like that. That is what this session of the debate is about. I mean, okay, next in line, who wants to talk? Anybody wants to talk?
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, I can say, but frankly speaking, I don't personally have so much knowledge in this area of astrology or other kinds of craft mentioned. However, so I'm Bengali by community, and I keep hearing stories, right? Especially in West Bengal areas like Sundarban and other areas, there is witchcraft and all happening. I mean, a lot of people say, but have I seen it or not really? But are there scientific reasons and all, and are they effective? I think so. To larger, uh, I'm sure some of it is it can be explained scientifically. But again, on the other hand, not everything may be able to be explained. So I don't think it's a black and white scenario. But only people who are very knowledgeable and have ancient wisdom of all these will be able to say. For example, 2 days ago, I was going through a video of the Sabrimala, from that temple in Tamil Nadu. They don't allow women to go there, and I think this is a discussion happening with the Supreme Court also, and Supreme Court was about to. I think the discussions were going in the direction that okay, women will be allowed. But this video I heard was from a researcher who visited many temples and of the similar nature, and really explained in a very scientific manner. She actually wrote a book on it, that why women should not go there, and how especially the vibes or of the temple actually impact woman body. So she really explained, and she is going to talk to the judges of Supreme Court on this. And it seems that they have put a hold on it to pass the law of allowing women there. So this is quite an eye opener, especially really very very scientifically she has written that. Yeah. I'm happy to share that video if people are interested.
Yeah, sure. You can share it in the chat.
Yeah,
if
sure.
you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Next in line. Anybody wants to talk? Samia is a newcomer. Samia, just an introduction for you. I was saying, the topic for today's session is some of the unscientific things can be true despite being unscientific. They are numerology, witchcraft, sorcery, astrology, rituals, and other minor forms like card reading and stuff like that. So, of course, some people have a very scientific mindset and they only believe in science and what they see. Others believe in something that they also cannot see, that they have a belief in from what they get from people around them, their strong influence of their culture, their religion, and stuff like that. And some people are in between. They also reason and they also perform rituals and believe in astrology despite being unscientific. So that was the introduction. So anybody wants to talk next? We can, if after one round, we can go ahead and we can check out pages regarding astrology, actually. I mean, there are, astrology is actually now being taught it's going to be taught in universities as well. And the scientific community claims that it is a one step back that we are taking in the field of science. Okay, after one round, we'll check out Wikipedia pages and other pages if somebody wants to share. Suryamsh, do you have anything to say?
Ashwin, actually, sorry, I joined a little late.
Yeah.
Just want to understand what was the argument that if you have already given or that has not been given, because the way the debate is structured, right? When we say that something is true and it is not scientific, even if it is not scientific, right?
Yeah.
That statement itself is something which I want to understand further, right?
Okay.
And we'll go deeper into it. And before that, I just want to quickly respond to the points made by Anandita, right? So see, there are a lot of videos, and this is purely I'm saying from my experience. Right? It's not like I know more or anybody else will have some other perspective. But there are a lot of videos out there, be it YouTube, be it Instagram, be it very well made videos, right? And the first perception when somebody looks at those videos, and I can even cite some of the YouTube channels who are having millions of subscribers and followers, 5 million plus, 10 million plus, right? And they can be about anything. They can be even about Vimanas from 3,000 years back and all of that, right? Just want to call out one thing. Whenever any, and the way what I've typically seen science being used is whenever any claim needs to be substantiated. So people selectively use science and they kind of call it scientific, and there are proper research papers published on a journal. People write books on it, but that, and because they're saying that this is scientific, it doesn't make it scientific. Just by someone making a video nicely written, nicely scripted, or writing a book on it doesn't make it scientific. So just want to touch upon that first. And there are a lot of scientists who may be so-called scientists. They are not the real scientists, by the way, who will have books. So anything which looks scientific, it looks intuitively as scientific, or people call it scientific, is not scientific. Just want to call that out.
Yeah, actually, it is. There is a. I mean, I believe you need to write papers, and you need to defend your papers or your theory in front of a scientific community. I mean,
No,
if
but
people then
I
accept
think
it, I think that is called as science.
No, exactly, Ashwin. So perfect point, right? Now there are a lot of journals out there, and so not every scientific journal. So there are many journals. There are there are a lot of fake journals as well, right, Ashwin?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't have the names on top of my mind, but I'll share it on the group because I was doing this research around a year back, right? People can pay money and people can get research papers published. So every scientific paper, if that is a claim that you're making, Ashwin, we can go deeper into that. But if your claim is that any paper published in a scientific journal is scientific, because there are papers out there on Ayurveda also, and there are papers out there on astrology also, so-called scientific papers, but from a scientific community standpoint, they are not considered as science or scientific
Yeah,
paper.
exactly.
So,
I know
that is what
yeah.
I want to just call that out. If that is the position you are defending, so yeah.
No, this is just a debate topic. You can choose either side. You can say that all of these things are unscientific and they're false, or we all know that all of these things are unscientific. First of all, I mean, there are no papers that clearly define. There are no clear rules. There is no clear formula that says that if my name starts from A, then I'm a lucky person or something like that. That is numerology. There is no science behind this, but some people claim it to be true. I mean, my theory. Okay, well, let me tell you what my title itself says. Let us just take an example of gravitational law.
Mm-hmm.
Newton's theory of gravity, gravitational law. It's not just a theory. It was unscientific until he came up with that theory, that formula, right? Until that point.
No, that is not correct.
No. Wait. What I mean is, until the gravity itself was discovered, until he realized the concept of gravity, it was unscientific. From that point on, when he came up with the formula, it became scientific. But that the gravity held, the concept of gravity was there, and it was true until that point. Ever since the creation of the Earth, or ever since the creation of the universe, or whatever. So my point is, unscientific things can be true or it can be false. Anything is possible. But scientific things are 99.99% true all the time, until we realize something that we have missed out on one parameter and we have made a mistake. So scientific things are true most of the time, and there is a small chance that it can also be false. That is my point. You can say something that you wanted to say.
Yeah, the point that you made right now, I completely agree with, right? And just to add one more point there is so if you look at, it's the subjective reality, which is often discussed in our group, right? Subjective reality, they'll be like, even now we would just maybe know 1% of it, 5% of it. We are trying to build quantification to that, which may not make sense. But just for an argument's sake, let's say only 5% of the universe we understand, right? Scientifically, right? So things we do not know is what you're saying, may actually be scientific if more research is done, or we kind of find the right methodologies or whatnot, right? And until that is there, it is just something we don't know. And science will also say the same thing, because science cannot perfectly say that this is something. It can only just it can never it cannot build a law in the sense that it is something is either falsifiable or not, right? And it can never say that something is true. It can say that something is not false, right? Like when you do research and on many of these things. But for a lot of these topics, right, it's simply if you look at numerology, if you look at witchcraft, if you look at astrology also, you can test these things out. Because when if you even go deeper into astrology, a lot of astrologers first of all will not agree on the same, let's say, kundli. They'll have different interpretations. There's so much subjectivity in it. There are so many Burnham statements that people make. Burnham statements are like, they're so generic that like 80-90% people will find a resemblance of something from the claim that is being made. And they are vague enough that people will kind of not feel that it's going to be like that, right? So when you test all of these things out, science is just a method, right? If you say something and if you say X and Y will happen, and then you kind of test it out for 100 samples here, 100 samples there, it's simply you can just test it out, and that is what reality is. If you do something, if you test it, and if you're seeing results on it, if you're not seeing results, it's because somebody else said, or there was some story which was going around for the last 200 years, 1,000 years, that is something which is unscientific. But for a lot of these things, we have tested them, so they do not necessarily fall into the realm of, like the example that you gave of Newton's laws of motion. Because at the time when Newton was born, I think what 1660s and all, right? So that time the scientific revolution had just begun. 500 years back it had begun, and that was at the perfect time. Newton was at the perfect place. And in one of the previous discussions also, I think one of the points I had raised, right, was that that time people had no idea about all of these things. But now we have tested these things and we have not found evidence. The only way some of these things is because many of the aspects, like there are still people who believe in flat earth theory, correct? Doesn't mean that it becomes true. It may be true for their belief system, but when we are making a claim about the reality, which is not belief. One is you can have belief, okay, there are unicorns, there's this, that, but if you're making claim on reality, then you can actually test it out. If you cannot test it out, then, and if there's no resemblance that it is actually true, then why believe it, right?
Yeah, I got your point. So, okay, let me, Amit, you want to say something? You missed the introduction actually.
Hey everyone, just guys carry on. I'm driving. I'm listening to you all. I'll come in between.
Okay, fine. I'll share my screen regarding astrology as a science.
Right.
Just a sec. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Can you see? Yeah, okay, fine. So astrology has been rejected by the scientific community as to having no explanation power for describing the universe. Scientific testing of astrology has been conducted. No evidence has been found to support any of the premises or what is that? Purported effects outlined by astrological traditions. Fine, so and so it goes on. And then over here, India's University Grants Commission and Ministry of Human HRD actually decided to introduce the basic astrology as a discipline of study in Indian universities, stating that Vedic astrology is not only the one of the main subjects of our traditional and classical astrology, but this is the discipline which lets us know the events happening in the human life and the universe on the time scale. In spite of the complete lack of evidence that astrology actually does allow for such accurate predictions. Fine, it goes on over here, and then there are some, it went to the court and stuff. A petition sent to the Supreme Court of India stated that the introduction of astrology in the university curricula is a giant leap backwards, undermining whatever scientific credibility the country has achieved so far. So some people say that it is not just as random as tossing a coin, where you get 50% heads or 50% tails. I read this somewhere over here. I read this somewhere over here in the same page over here. People say that, of course, the predictions may not be 100% right, but the predictions are right to a very good extent for it to be considered to be taught in the university, actually. That's what they say. So, but teaching something in the university, things has to be very, very, very objective. Of course, even psychology is taught in universities, and even philosophy is taught in universities. Both of them are not 100% objective. They are subjective to some extent. But astrology, I would say, it is highly unscientific, and there is a complete lack of evidence or the lack of strong basis for it to be taught in the university. Now, coming next to the rituals. If we think of rituals, let's say traditional rituals or wedding rituals or whatever, I mean, all of them have the same pattern. That is decoration of flowers, placement of idols, and then the fire in place for Hindu rituals, I would say. And those things have to be performed in the exact same way with the exact same words said by the priest. Otherwise, people think that the rituals themselves have no meaning. But what do those words actually mean? I mean, which language it is written in? Most of the people, they do not know. So why do people, believe in such things despite being unscientific? Is my question. So anybody has something to say?
Yeah, I can go. So I think a lot of these things have come from how
Guys,
society.
you guys keep continuing. I need to pick a call. You guys continue.
Okay, yeah. So what my understanding right now is that many of these customs, traditions, they've been happening since thousands of years, some of them, and we keep on carrying them without actually applying critical thinking on our own right now. And some of these things are like not necessarily bad either, right? If you have customs, if you have tradition, and this is something that we have been doing, and this is like every people from different lands will have different things, right? So I don't personally see anything wrong with those bits. My personal where when it starts affecting, let's say, education as a whole, or when it starts affecting the way we are making claims of reality, that is where the challenges start arising. Or especially if you start using them in alternative medicines, that is where the problem is. Otherwise, people are going to have something or the others which sorry, I think I lost myself a bit. So I was basically saying that many of these things in the modern form of society has been there since last 1 to 2,000 years, and some of these things would have carried from that time, and then there were a lot of changes in last 1,000, 2,000 years. How various kingdoms came around, various customs came around. So yeah, that is where all of these things would have come from.
Sorry, anybody was talking?
Yeah, hello, I'm Vivek. I actually joined little late. What are we discussing about?
We were discussing about some unscientific things that
Mhm.
can even be true despite being unscientific. They are, I would say, many things like witchcraft, sorcery. It can be numerology, astrology. It can be rituals and other things.
Okay.
So anybody has anything to say
Okay,
other
so
than
I
that?
basically, when you were not there, Ashwin, I was just telling the group that
Yeah.
my personal claim lies from the fact whenever we are for anything which is where we are making claims on reality, right?
Yeah.
That is where the challenge arises. Whether it is in the sense it is in the field of alternative medicines, or in like if you do this, then that will happen. Just being fatalistic about it and just following because somebody else is saying, rather than applying critical thinking, that is where it kind of is dangerous. But there are a lot of traditions, customs that we do, which are not which are in a way harmless, right? And every community has some traditions, so which is rooted in hundreds and thousands of years, and some of those things may be actually good from a community building POV, and there's something that joins everybody together, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is where I personally feel, and there's one book I'm reading currently called Early Indians, right, which talks about Indian civilization, how it came into being right from 80,000 years back when out of Africa migration happened, right? And in different stages, the early humans kind of reached the Indian subcontinent, and the various, it talks about Aryans and talks about a lot of other uh, people who came around from outside India. At that time, India, of course, was not there in its current form, right? But yeah, so a lot of these things would be rooted to hundreds and thousands of years back, something or other. But not everything is in a way harmful, is what I would please say.
It's not just need not be necessarily harmful, but the debate here is unscientific.
Mhm.
Like people believe that they're worshiping the gods. I mean, the rituals have to be performed in only so and so way, otherwise it will not have its desired effect, and so things. But people claim that despite being unscientific, it can have the desired effects of what they think, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
actually, mantra, I can talk about mantras.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Please
if
let us know
you,
what you can share. You can also share your screen if you want.
no, I don't want to share my screen. Regarding mantras, right? If you like play mantra, it can change the aura of the room or aura of your house. Like if you, it is like more like you can say being positive, right? If you, for example, I've just read about it. I don't know exactly.
Mhm.
For example, if you hold a glass of water and if you think something negative, or if you don't tell a mantra, or if you tell something negative and you start pouring the water in the plant will die. Okay. But if you tell the positive mantra and if you start like think about positive mantras and then you pour the water in the plant, then the plant will nourish and become rich. Like it will be full of nutrients, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the mantras can change the aura of the room or aura of our house.
Okay. Despite being unscientific, I mean, has it ever happened to you in a personal experience, like something what you actually said happened to you?
No, it has not happened to me. I've read about it and I think I'm going to try it actually. Like playing maybe Hanuman Chalisa every day in my house.
Yeah,
So
I
that
mean,
it,
I've also
yeah,
read about Sadhguru. He said that, I mean, water has memory.
okay.
Like if you say something positive, it will have memory and it crystallizes in a different way.
Yes,
You can
yes.
also curse a person and make the person fall sick if you curse him and give him that water or something like that. That's what he
Okay.
claims.
Yeah. Something in that line, but not exactly. It will not be so strong, like making the person sick, obviously, right? Otherwise, everyone would have tried that. But there
Yeah.
are like, yeah, just you can like spread out the positive energy in the universe, something like that. I think that helps. I've not tried, but I'll definitely try that.
Yeah. So basically, I would say
Hmm.
You can see my entire screen, right? So numerology is the study of numbers and their relationship to letters and so
I
and
think
so.
these are
So,
all like BS, right? Bullshits, because there are so many divorces that are happening in India, right?
yes,
People in
exactly.
India, follow all.
Divorces are related to astrology, by the way. I
No,
mean,
no.
which marriages. I mean, looking at the what do you say? Looking at the time of birth and place of birth is related, corresponds to your star, and that is related to astrology. And they match the astrology of your partner, and they say if your bride or broom is a good choice.
They do both actually, numerology and astrology. Some
Okay,
people
can you?
check the numbers also when you are born and when is your partner born, right?
Yeah, but
And
when I'm born corresponds to the star, right? It corresponds to my star. My time of birth and place of birth corresponds to my star. And
they
based
will
on
add up
that,
those numbers, your date of birth, they will add up those numbers.
oh,
And
okay.
then form a number. For example, your lucky number is 6, and you will not match with 6, you will match with 11, something like that. So if you marry a
Okay.
person who is 11, you are lucky. If you marry a person who is 10, you are not lucky.
Okay,
they do
fine.
things like that.
So, okay, it is unscientific. Many people claim to be scientific, and of course, still there are divorces. But
Still there
I've heard that.
Mhm.
I've heard that. I know people who believe that. I mean, it does work for them.
Mhm.
It is just a fear. I believe it is just a fear that people have. That what if I don't follow it? I will fall into a trap.
That is true. It is just a fear that people have actually.
There's also one more thing. So
Mhm.
one of my good friends, astrology
I
course.
think
I think
your voice is getting
it's a
cut. Can you
1
please repeat?
year long, and there are multiple hour classes. Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I was saying one of my close friends is doing a course on on astrology. It is an advanced astrology course where they have to study for like 4 to 5 hours every week, and they're learning from a guru, right? And basically, what like that my friend kind of tells me is that she has been associated with many astrology gurus, and then some of them say the right thing, some of them don't. But this one, she has a lot of faith and a lot of belief in, right? And this guy is more, in a way, logical. Would not say scientific, but then she finds that it makes sense, and this is a real theory. And she was saying that 99% of astrologers are actually fraud, and they don't know the right thing, right? So this is something where she comes from. But I kind of, because she is from good colleges, and like she I know that she can understand, like she is very scientific from whatever work she does, right? That temperament is there. But I personally feel that there is one thing of meaning making, because she has gone through some things in life. But there is, like whenever you get somebody to guide you, or some, in India, I personally feel that that sense of kind of to whether it is to elders, whether it is to gurus, the sense of kind of uh, just believing in that spirit or anybody is comparatively higher. And just people want it to believe, and it will work for them in some way. And then in some cases also the placebo effect will take into place, and you will just look at the positives and you will ignore the negatives, because everybody will say that yeah, majority of it, sometimes it doesn't work, and there are some conditions and all of that, right? But when I ask her conceptually how it is working, if it is working for her, can she give me an understanding of what are the core principles and tenets on the basis of which it is built? And once we were having those discussions, and she started from the fact that the assumptions that astrology starts with, right? That is something that she cannot, that she is not sure why, right? But if you believe in those assumptions, then the logic holds true, and which is where, Ashwin, I think we were also having one discussion, I think a month back, where we were discussing that something can be very logical from the flow POV, but it may not be really scientific, right? So that is one thing that I just wanted to share on this astrology course that my friend did.
I agree with the placebo thing. And I also feel that it is a good guess. For example, if I know you, right? If you tell me your story, and your educational background, I can make a guess that you will have a good future, right? And most of the astrologers are our family friends. So they know our history, right? From where we are coming, what we are doing, things like that. So they just make a guess or make an assumption that, for example, Vivek will have a good life, something like that. So I feel it is just a guess. That is what I feel. I may be completely wrong. But if you tell me your story, I can make a guess, right? For example, if I'm very hardworking, and the astrologer will know that by looking at me, he can guess that I am a hardworking guy, and he can say that you'll make a lot of money in future, or you will get a good wife, something like that, right? So I feel it is based on the various permutation and combinations, or the story that we tell. They will just make a guess that may come out true. It can be true or false, right? It is just a guess.
Yeah, exactly. What I wrote over here is we
Mhm.
need to check the accuracy, timing, and whether it is generic or specific. Like accuracy is, let's say, the astrologer says I'll get 83 out of 100 in the exam.
Mhm.
Whether I really get 83 or 84 or whether I get 40 out of 100 is
Mhm.
accuracy and timing.
Yeah.
When will this event happen? It can whether it'll happen after 10 years or whether it'll happen in the very next days or what it is, and how specific or generic it is. Like you mentioned, I will have a nice future is very generic,
Mhm.
but I will join a specific company or I will be a specific engineer. I will do very specific things. I mean, whether he can predict those.
No, he even if he predicts those, it will be wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he says you'll join a nice company, obviously you are educated and you are hardworking. Obviously, you'll join a nice company.
So how we can make it scientific is we need statistics here. These things have to be tested on a number of people, maybe 1,000 or 10,000 or how many ever people.
Mhm.
And we need to check how many of those predictions come true for those people. Has it
Yep.
ever been done in the past? I believe none. Otherwise, we would have known. I
Correct.
mean, and this would have been taught in schools. It would have been taught in colleges, universities. It would have been taught, but none of these are happening right now. Why is it? Why is it that this is not happening? It's because it's not accurate, right?
Yes. And
Now,
coming
another
back to
one.
your original, yeah, sorry, please
Yeah,
complete.
yeah, you can continue. You can continue.
No, coming back to your original thought, right? People are afraid. So people who are afraid are the one, when we are in problem, we pray to God, right? When we are happy, we don't pray to God. So people who are afraid and who doesn't want to work hard and who need shortcuts, things like that, right? I think they go to astrology, but not exactly that. Also, of course, many of our parents also goes, but yeah, blind. It is just blind beliefs. They are also afraid, actually, right? What will be the future
See,
of my child? Something like that.
okay, I have one question now.
Mhm.
Astrologers, they predict, they try to predict very minor events in your life. But
Mhm.
read this. Astrologers regularly fail in attempt to predict election results in India, and they fail to predict major events such as assassination of Indira Gandhi and stuff like that. And they also failed to predict, I mean, the earthquake in Gujarat area,
Mhm.
and also the Indo-Pak war in '99. I
Yeah.
mean, if astrology was so advanced, why couldn't they predict the Russia-Ukraine war or even World War II and stuff like that? I mean,
Yes.
if they can predict very minor events, why can't they predict major events? Major events will be known by, I believe, many astrologers all over the world if it really happens.
Yeah.
And minor events that happens within you will be known only by astrologers. If you approach them, they will even think of you, think of predicting something in you.
Yep.
So these are the things that we need to see. Whether they cannot predict wars, they cannot predict earthquakes, they cannot predict volcanic eruptions, they cannot predict many things, but they claim to predict very minor things that happens in your lives, like
Mhm.
whether a girl will be a match for you, or whether you will do good in your career, or something like that.
Yeah.
Is my question, right? But on the other side, I would say witchcraft. I've heard stories where people have experienced hypnotism. They see something that doesn't exist for others. Like my own cousin, she claims that she saw a black cat that her son, who was sitting right next to her, couldn't see. Some things like that. And she claimed that she slipped on the stairs and somebody had rubbed Vaseline on the floor for her to intentionally slip and fall. But they checked all the Vaseline containers and it was full. It was, nobody had used it. I mean, there are many, many such events where people
Maybe it was
experience.
dreaming. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not even dreaming. It's in daytime when they're not sleeping. They believe to see some things. They believe to experience some things that other people sitting right next to them haven't experienced. Why is it
Yeah,
like
that
that?
happens sometimes. Hallucination, right? It can happen and it is normal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hallucinations. Yeah, is what is the medical term or technical term.
Yeah.
And also, she found dead pigeons with the head and body separate on the terrace. Why was the head and the head severed from the body of the pigeons?
Yeah, it
Because
might have
somebody.
fallen from a height, no? From it.
No, but why will the head and the body be separate for the pigeons? Somebody had used a knife to cut it. That is the indication for the demon to visit that particular house to do some bad to them. You know, if you read little about witchcraft, I'm not telling it is true or it is scientific. I'm just claiming some things.
Yeah.
Witchcraft is, if you read something, I mean, you need to give some indication to the demon to attack some person. That is why they will use something. They will go and do something in that house for the demon to identify the right person to attack. And that is what happens. And there is one famous thing called as, this one. Have you heard about this? There is a movie online. It's called as Ouija board. And if you play this board, you call the spirit actually. This is in the West. This is in the concept in the West. There is a particular way to play this board. And if you play this board, you will call the spirits. You can communicate with them. There are other ways to communicate with the spirits as well.
I think this is already debunked. Right? There is something called idiomotor effect.
Yeah, people communicate with spirits and they do some techniques. They light candles and there are some techniques to call the spirits. I mean, in the Abrahamic religions, basically the demons are against God and you can communicate with them. Eventually, they will give you some benefits, but no, in the beginning, they will give you some benefits, but eventually they will hurt you. Black magic is all about calling the spirits, actually. Sorry. Black magic is all about witchcraft. Black magic is all about the calling the spirits to hurt the other person. White and red is something similar for different purposes. We have a witchcraft even performed in India, like say there are care lights who perform witchcraft. If you give them money, they will say that they will hurt some person that you want.
Yeah, Vashikarna, right? They call it.
Can you spell it,
Vashikarna.
please?
It is
Spell
a
it.
Hindi word. Vashi Karna.
Vashikarna, okay.
Like bringing something in your control or doing rituals so that.
To keep someone under control in English.
Yeah, to keep someone under control.
Okay.
But if that was the case, right, I think it can be done, but it needs a lot of expertise and experience. Not a normal person can do it. And there are people like that in the past, right? For example, Krishna, if you say Krishna or Rama, they had mystical powers because they have done a lot of meditation. And so I think there are some people who can do that, who can like.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything is work, no? If I work, for example, if I want to learn coding, I have to practice coding and I can be an expert in coding. Similarly, for Vashikarna also, like they have to do some rituals and practice to be able to do that, because human being has all the powers. Okay, even you can, if you do meditation or you can control your mind, and I think you can control the mind of others also, right? Hypnosis kind of. You can,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, Suraj, you can talk. No need to raise hand. There are very few people today.
Got it. Hey, Vivek,
Mhm.
I just want to understand, are you saying that you have read somewhere or from experiences when you make a statement, right? Like that humans have a lot of, powers, and by meditation, they can do many of these things. Is it a
Mhm.
claim that you are making, or is
Yeah,
it
yeah.
something that you
If-
genuinely believe in it? Is it
yeah, I genuinely believe in it.
understood? So
Vivek,
I have a
Mm.
I have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Vivek,
different.
Vivek, if that was possible,
Mhm.
why couldn't people control the US president or Narendra Modi or something like that to their benefit?
No, not. I'm not talking in that manner. I'm talking in terms of inner transformation, not
See,
like
but
making.
inner transformation can be for one's internal. See, there are a lot of unscientific claims, not even like pseudoscience or unscientific claims, where people say that just by meditating for, let's say, 10 hours a day for a week or whatever, for years, you will be able to know the full understanding about the universe and everything, right?
No, not like
Um,
that. What I was telling is, if you do meditation, and if I'm thinking something good about you, right? If I want something good for you, if I go deep into the meditation, and if I keep thinking that you will heal from some sickness, or something good will happen to you, that can be done, I'm saying.
but how
You can
can it
pass
be
on the
done? It is
positive energy.
unscientific, no? Can you explain yourself when, let's say, I care about you, right?
Yeah.
And let's say for a year I do great tapasya and great meditation because I want you for any reason. It can be like I want you to achieve XYZ or manifest or whatever. When you
Mm-hmm.
make a claim that by me meditating, your
Mm-hmm.
life will just improve or you will heal or whatever, that is an
Mm-hmm.
unscientific claim. Because
Vivek,
how will you explain?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Vivek, can you cure cancer or AIDS just by meditation?
Um, it will help you in your healing process of even cancer and AIDS. I don't know, but cancer, yes. You cannot completely heal it, but it can definitely, if you have positive people around you, right? If your partner who is suffering from cancer, and you meditate and try to, not 100%, right? Obviously,
But how will
right?
it happen, Vivek? Can you just walk me
Because our
through? I
mind
want to
is so
understand
powerful,
better. How
right?
can you influence by you meditating? How
Yeah.
can your spouse health be influenced in any way, positive or negative? I'm saying. How can you, of course, by you interacting, because you are in a better state of mind, and then you are
Mhm.
interacting with somebody. That is a very indirect thing, and I'm not even sure how strong that will be. But if that is your claim, that I understand that you become better, so that when you interact with somebody else, they are also kind of getting that peace from you, because that can be the case. If there is a
Exactly.
guy, let's say I'm a guy,
Mhm.
I am super anxious and always in tension, and and my interactions with my loved ones will be affected by my mood, right? So compared to,
Mhm.
I'm, let's say, in a complete Zen state, I meditate 2 hours, 3 hours a day, and then anybody who I interact with also benefit of it. If that is your claim, then I understand to some extent. But if that is not your claim, just by me meditating, my wife's health improving or anything happening, I don't understand the logic of it. If you can help me walk
No,
through.
the first one was my claim, not the second one. What you
Understood. Got
told earlier, right?
No,
Yeah.
clear,
is
clear. Now
this
I'm clear.
belief or is this evidence? There are evidence for that.
No, this is a belief, and there are evidences also.
Vivek, are you telling through psychological support you can
Yeah,
make
through
the other
psychological
person?
support, I am
Uh,
telling basically.
through psychological support, you can definitely make the other person better.
Yeah.
But through meditation, can you physiologically? I mean, it's like giving medicine. I mean, physical medicine, like
No, I'm talking more in terms of love and all those psychological things. Not
that
Okay,
is
belief.
see
that everybody
now.
can accept.
Now problem is, let's take there is a person who has cancer, right? And they are also taking medicine. You are also showing that love. Now, how do you correlate that your love only made it better?
No,
It's not a control tested evidence, right? You are just
yes.
correlating something. It's not the causation.
Yeah, it
I
will
know. I
make
think
them
Lokesh,
more
the
positive.
point is not that strong, is what I think my sense is. Vivek can go next after me, but so I think the way it's nothing is going to be negative if you give love, right? There's nothing negative which is going to happen from that. That is point number one. Second is in general. So there's a book that I read called "What Happened to You." Okay. This was by, I think, uh, this psychotherapist plus someone who had background even in neuroscience. And one of the things that was mentioned where healing used to happen in earlier communities, which something is doesn't happen when you purely rely upon scientific methods, be it medicines or anything else, is that feeling. So when you are in community, right, the kind of support that you get, and it's purely the psychological support that even Ashwin mentioned, right? There is a lot of power to it, right? And there is evidence for that, that when you have somebody to share things with, and we have that psychological thing, and even from a different perspectives, because if you think about what is therapy is about changing the way you look at life. So one part of it, of course, if there are medicines and those things involved, so more from a psychiatric angle, that will be more complex. But if that is not the case, then in general, therapy essentially helps you relook at your existing life in a different perspective. It's just very perspective based, belief based, and that has profound impact on your health and physiological impact as well, right? So that is supported and so even much more by community. When you have
Yeah.
somebody, when you have elders, when you have those things, that is where like I'm coming.
Yeah, agree. But the problem is,
That is exactly what I
see,
meant also. Yeah.
yeah. So now we take the example of Steve Jobs. He probably has the biggest support all across the world, right? But that alone couldn't save him, correct? So this could be an added benefit. With or without it, it's fine. But the main thing is the modern medicine that should have been consumed by him, right? Otherwise,
Yeah,
he
modern
would have
Absolutely.
medicine
stayed
is
alive.
mandatory. You
Absolutely
have to
agree.
consume. Yeah. This is just a support, not a replacement for medicine, but just to give them positive energy. And
Yeah,
we talk about
that is that.
placebo earlier, right?
Yeah,
Placebo
that is
effect.
fine. Yeah,
Same like
whatever
that.
that is happening, it can happen. But the main thing should not get debated, because what happens here is, now if people start to believe, okay, this alone is enough, we don't want the main thing, then there is a problem.
No. Main thing is mandatory. This is just a support. You have to take medicines, of course. It is not a
Then I
replacement for
agree.
medicine. Yeah.
Guys, one thing I noted about Hindu astrology is I looked at the stars, the zodiac signs. I initially looked at the zodiac signs, all of the zodiac signs, and then I took out the stars corresponding to the zodiac signs. And then I saw how much distance they are from the earth. And all are within the distance of the naked eye itself. All can be seen with the naked eye. So what does this mean? People in the past, I mean, they didn't have telescopes or whatever, and they came up with something that they could see with their eyes, right? If stars really affect your life, I mean, to such an extent that they affect your partner or the person whom you marry and stuff like that, then why don't the stars beyond the observable universe, or even in the observable universe, those that are beyond reach of the naked eye, why don't they affect our lives? Is my question. Somebody has an answer to that?
I don't think they will affect at all.
Yes, exactly. That was my answer. Isn't it a valid point? Like people came up with something that they could only see. Of course, even distant planets, of course, Pluto is not a planet right now, but people only made up something with only what they could see. At that time, they couldn't see Pluto. They didn't come up with some zodiac sign with Pluto. And they could see only some stars in the sky. And they came up with they made up some things with only those stars. And those they couldn't see with the naked eye, they didn't make up anything.
Yeah, maybe they want to unravel some mystery, because there are so many mysteries in the universe, right? So they want to unravel some mysteries of the universe.
I think this is a classic example of like completely ignoring the main thing that is required and just focusing on something that is totally unscientific. You
Look at
can see
this.
like how this has built into a big business.
See, you can see Jupiter, you can see Saturn from your naked eye. Can you see Pluto? You cannot see Pluto. So it is not there in the list of heavenly bodies that make up the celestial
Hey,
bodies.
Ashkan, I have slightly different POV here.
Yeah.
So if you look at the celestial bodies that let's say even are talked about in Hindu tradition, right? Many of them are actually imaginary. If you look at Rahu, Ketu, right, they're imaginary, right? So just by the visual is something. Of course, I see merit in your point that things which are not even visible, things you don't know. They just thought that that will not influence, and everything will be influenced by these things. But there were a lot of imaginary things also which don't have any basis directly as well. So there are practically no reason why one should believe in it. But here we are.
Yeah, that makes my point stronger, actually.
So
Yeah.
overall, we are on the same ground, right? That astrology is BS, bullshit. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's
agree.
a very
One
good.
more thing I
I mean,
wanted to
people make
raise.
a lot of business out of that. Yeah.
Actually, one
And
more point I wanted to make. If probably after we discuss this discussion, we can go to that, and that point is on what is true, right? When we make the statement that something is true, even if it is not scientific, I want to just double click on that statement itself.
okay, I'll come to that. Now, what do you think about Vastu and Drishti? Drishti is you looking at a person and something bad happens to the person, and the Vastu of the house. Vastu is the house has to be constructed in a particular way, otherwise it is not optimistic.
Another
Optimistic
BS,
from
I
a
believe.
spiritual point of view.
Another BS, I believe. Yeah, I am into construction sector. So there are
Okay.
people with different religion construct their homes, right?
Yeah.
If you look at Christians, they don't really have any specific requirements on this, but they are forced to construct their homes in this Vastu thing just because the resale value is good. So you can see how big of a business has been built around that. Even if you go online, all this stuffs, you can even buy this trees or something. It's like 5,000, 10,000, 1 lakh, even 10 lakh rupees worth of BS are available online.
Okay.
so we can see at Vastu as a more, if I have to see it at a scientific level, like from where the sun is entering my house, because I want more light in the day, right, in my house. So I'll construct my house in a manner that I get more sunlight in my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
But is that properly documented? Is my question. Is it properly
No,
documented?
it is not properly documented. I don't know whether it is properly documented or not, but I'd like to see Vastu in that way that I get more ventilation, right? Something like that, maybe. I may be completely wrong.
There are modern architectural designs that are much
Yeah.
better, I believe. Of
Yeah.
course, it's just a blank statement that I'm making. You
Mhm.
can use computer simulation
Uh-huh.
to build a house that is very, very optimistic when it comes to ventilation and light. Very optimistic.
Okay.
If you build a house out of glass and you use curtains, I mean, just for your privacy, when during the other time you want the light to enter,
Mhm.
I mean, building the house out of glass, you can place metal beams for the support, and you can place glass all over your house, and you will get a lot of sunlight. Is that mentioned in the Vastu text or something like that?
That I think Lokesh can tell. He is into construction.
I mean, people just have some weird things like you have to keep kitchen in certain direction. I am not even sure how that is correlated to sunlight entering your home. They call ourselves Agni Mula and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just some
So
other form of making some extra money. I mean, if I say, okay, this has to be placed in this location only, right? Then that could probably increase the cost of construction. I can make extra bucks. I think I see it that way.
I wanted to, just understand this. I know we are trying to question the beliefs and whether, they have scientific basis or they have enough research on them or background. But do we have enough points to claim otherwise, that all these are bullshit? Do we have enough evidence on that?
Okay.
See, yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
let me go ahead. Okay, fine. Here is the thing.
Because I'm not sure, I haven't read, but have we read everything, possibly scripts available from the history and everything? That's not really easy to do all that, right?
Exactly. So my entire point was, if something is unscientific, it can be true, or it can be the other way around as well. It can be false as well.
Exactly. So we are actually dwelling in a gray area, right? That's the point.
Unscientific things can be true or false.
True.
No, I
But-
feel it is just random actually, right? We are not dealing in a gray area because I think my debate is we know that it won't work, because if I can go to an astrology and tomorrow I can change my name and become rich, right? Just an example.
See,
Or change my date of birth and become rich, right? So I don't think it is a gray area. I think
No,
it
but
is for me.
for you it may not work, but maybe there are 10 other people for whom it has worked. And there will
that
be
is where I
cases
actually
also.
exactly, that is something which I want to cover, Ashwin. Like, when we say the statement something is true but not scientific, let's just double click on that one.
Okay, something is true but unscientific. Okay,
Correct.
I'll
I
tell
think
you. I'll
Anindita,
tell you
that
right
is,
now.
Anindita,
Yeah.
that is your point also, right? Just to clarify, because if it is working for somebody, even if it is not scientific, that is exactly the thing that you were also saying, correct?
But if it is working for somebody, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It is just random, right?
Yeah, I'm coming to that. No.
Yeah.
I'll just put my arguments across. I'm just saying the topic, like the
Okay.
subtopic. That
I
is something.
think
That's
see,
also not
truth is
validated,
something.
right? This is also not validated that this is surely random. Is that any research on that this is random?
So I'll give you an example,
Is there
Anindita.
a proof for this?
I'll give
Is
you an
there
example.
anything which you all can send, which we can read?
No, I'll give you an example. So whenever there is any scientific trial which is done, right? The way scientific trials are done is, first of all, the groups which are chosen, they are randomized. Otherwise, the methodology of that scientific trial is null and void, right? We can't trust that. Correct. So you'll have test group, and let's take a simple example. Let's take a
I
simple
work
example.
for pharma industry, so I know what trials are.
Oh, perfect. So you already know, right? Perfect. So then, anyway, whenever the research is done, there's a test group, there is a control group, and then you look at the results between test and control, and then you look at double delta, pre, post. You do all of those analysis. The only way something is scientifically true in this kind of a research setup is when it is statistically significant, and that statistical significance will come when there is actually a difference between the deltas of the two groups, like test and control, right? Otherwise, there is also placebo, there is also randomness. Let's say I have a fever. Okay. Now let's say I have fever for 3 days.
I
I'm having.
understand all that. All I'm trying to ask is there any research done which was done on two set of people, and it proved that no, this is random? Is this validated?
There are many papers where we have found nothing. Nothing has come out of all of these things which are being said, right? There are papers for all of these, and I can share you some links, some channels also which talk about them. But go on. I think Ashwin was saying something.
Yeah, I mean, basically, Anandita, I would like to ask you say something.
I mean, wouldn't it be great? Think of it this way. I mean, we follow so many rituals and so many superstitions and all that, and here there are scientific evidences showing otherwise. So life will become so simpler. We don't have to actually do all of that.
Exactly. But you can't have it because the world doesn't change. The world change takes
people
time.
are looking for evidences, and today's educated generation certainly does.
Yeah, the questions you are asking, right? No one has the answer for that actually.
Oh, see, science can say something true or not only if it is falsifiable. If you make an unfalsifiable claim, it cannot confirm that, because you can keep piling stuffs on top of that. Now you mentioned about changing his name, right? And he becomes rich. Now there can be like thousands of random things, right? Maybe someone kept some gold under his, house for long, like 10,000 years back. How can you correlate that to this, right? So it cannot be falsified. So he just believes that, okay, I changed my name, I became rich. That's what he believes. He just correlates them. So now coming to
No, I was just
Suryansh
giving an example. Actually. I don't
claim.
believe.
Yeah, just a minute. So it is the topic, right? Topic itself. I think unscientific things can be true and false.
True
it can
or
be true
false?
for one person. It can be true or false. Yeah.
This is the
Or
Hey,
pipeline
Lokesh,
on.
doesn't make
no,
any sense, no? Everything is true
no,
or false otherwise. What do you
no,
mean?
no. True or false for a person. So now Vivek believes certain thing is true. It's true for him. The same thing is not true for me. It is false for me. Scientific things, as he put 99% is true, is because as a community we agree that it is true. But even scientific things can change based on the evidence, new evidence that keeps piling up. Okay, so
Nee,
until
Lokesh,
that
so
we
what
find a new
is...
evidence,
Mhm.
we believe that that is the truth.
No, Lokesh, I just fundamentally disagree here. And I'll share where my disagreement lies, right?
Yeah.
So I was just giving an example of, let's say I have fever. For 3 days, I have fever. Okay. And fever, I have taken some paracetamol, and like scenarios, let's say I only have gotten fever. And day 3, I got somebody told me at take paracetamol. So somebody else gave me some other, let's say some other medicine, right? Or somebody else told me, you think about this mantra or do this, right? And fourth case, I did not do anything. Correct. Now, the reason for that fever and the severity of it and other infection that it might have caused bacterial, viral, it could have been numerous, right? But for simplicity, let's assume that any of the scenarios could have happened in any of these 4 cases. There will be permutation and combination, correct? When we make a statement that something is true or something is false, right? It could have been the case there where somebody told me to, just speak this, chant this mantra for 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening for 3 days straight. And after 3 days, I am going to be perfect. Correct. Now I do this and I get healed because anyway 3 day cycle tha, 4-5 days anyways you heal. And 6 days after the end of the 6 days, I would have gotten healed even by, let's say, chanting a mantra or doing something else, right? It doesn't mean that this has worked. When you say it is true, right? It doesn't make it true, because it can only be true if something is working for me when the correlation implies causation. There can be so many correlations about in life, but
No, it's right. It can
correlation
be true only
doesn't.
for you, not for me.
No. Just give me 10-20 more seconds to just finish my
Go ahead,
point. The only thing that I'm here saying is the statement of being true, in my definition, and please, I'm happy to hear from other folks also. But if I was healed, it doesn't make that treatment true. It is true when that correlation implies causation. We can see the causality. Whether
Yes,
causality somebody is
agree.
saying, if that is not there, then it is not true. That true definition, just healing is not true, is what I'm just being very clear on my stance
Yeah,
on this.
I
No,
got your
I
point.
disagree with
See,
that because if you take paracetamol, 100 out of like 99 out of 100 times you will cure, right? Out of headache or fever.
yeah, I got the point here. I understood what the point Suryamsh is making.
Mhm.
There has to be a statistical correlation between cause
No,
and
see, I think he's talking about scientific truth. I'm talking about
science.
true. Okay. Truth can be specific to an individual person also, right? If you take the Buddha's quote, what he says is, what is true for you is not what I say, what you listen from me, from other people and everything, and what you decide. That would be the truth for you. So that is different from a scientific truth. Scientific truth is, okay, I believe in science. I see, okay, this is what science says, then I accept that as truth. But someone who believes science is BS and whatever science is false, then it is false for him. So there is a difference. That's what I'm saying. So scientific
Lokesh,
truth is different, individual truth is different.
Lokesh, we are talking about scientific truth only over here.
because otherwise,
Scientific
so
truth.
everything is truth. No, matlab, then Lokesh, there is no point of any argument, any discussion. See,
Yeah,
my belief, your belief, everybody has like 6 billion beliefs are there in the world. For them, that will be the truth. If we go
then
by
there is
that
no point in
definition,
having a debate
then
on
there
this.
is no point of anything. Everything is true, because if somebody believes in something, whether it is flat earth theory or whether it is anything of that, that is a truth for them. Maybe it is moral truth,
Yeah,
a
then
different
I
thing. But I
think
don't
we
know
should have
what's the point of.
tweaked
Yeah.
the title a little bit then. Yeah.
But we can't
Okay.
argue against personal truths, no. Matlab, if I say no, you are wrong in believing that parents should be respected. I'm just saying that personal truths. Who are we to challenge anybody's personal truths? It doesn't even. We can't even discuss about it or prove anything on that.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
true.
that I agree.
Personal truth is ours, right?
Okay,
We can choose whatever we want.
based on what we have this thing discussed for last 15 minutes, let me tell you what I think. See, unscientific things can be true or false means. See, until 1700 or whatever, until Newton discovered gravity, until he realized that there is something called as gravity, some concept like gravity, gravity itself was unscientific. So, but gravity even existed, I mean, even 1,000 years before, even before Newton was born. So until that point, it was scientific, and it was true even at that point of time. It was true ever since the universe was ever since the Big Bang happened, there was gravity. So gravitational law held good. I mean, since a very long time, let's say millions of years or even billions of years. So unscientific things can be true, and the other way around, unscientific things can also be false. Let's say astrology, numerology, it can be false. Could be, is what I'm saying. But scientific things, let's say now that we know that gravitational law is true, that is G m1 m2 by r square is the formula for the force of attraction between two bodies. I say that 99% of the time it is true. I'm saying 99% because I would say 100% because there is still a chance that because we haven't understood everything in this universe, that there is still a chance that there is something out there that we are not aware of, some other dimension, some other parameter. If it changes, then the gravitational law that we are reading today may not hold good. There might be some extra variable that we have to take into account for the gravitational law. So it can be false. Scientific things can be false as well. And believe me, there are many scientists out there who publish fake results. I mean, I've heard of one story where an IISc researcher has published a fake result just for himself to become famous for the sake of money. So so-called scientific things can also be wrong in that case. In both cases, even if they're honest or even if they're dishonest, scientific things can be false. Now, when it comes to astrology, it says your life depends on the stars, position of the stars or whatever. That is astrology. I mean, I would say if somebody, I mean, many people believe in it. Many people believe in astrology. If you go to the same person and say, tell him, your life depends on the clouds, the shape of the clouds, he would say no, because it is, I mean, he wouldn't see any correlation between the clouds and his life. He would only find correlation between the stars and his life. Also, both of them seem to be very, very improbable for us mind with a scientific mindset. Now, there is something I would like to say. If you cannot prove something, that doesn't make it false. If I say that dinosaurs live in Pluto, it is most likely no, but you cannot 100% rule it out. You cannot 100% rule it out because you do not know how this universe works. Until and unless there is a contradiction, you cannot rule it out. If you say one thing and if you say also the opposite thing, if there is a contradiction, then I believe that is the only case where you can rule it out. If I say dinosaurs live on a planet that is outside the observable universe, then I wouldn't believe it to a good extent. Maybe 99% I wouldn't believe it, but I would still give 1% for that belief. Now, the discovery of antimatter and gravity was done by intuition. I mean, I believe antimatter or something was theorized in 1924 or something, but only recently it was proved to be true. And by the way, I mean, subatomic physics, the degree of belief or the way the people believe in it is something completely different. You can see bacteria, you can see cells, but when you go down to the atomic and subatomic level, you can't see things. You can only observe things. You can only observe its effect. By the way, even black holes, I would say, many people argue that why don't you believe in God? Because you don't see God. But then they ask the question, why don't you believe in why do you believe in black holes? But you cannot see black holes. You can only see the effect of black holes. Why do you believe in it? That is where they counter question you actually. So these are the things that I wanted to say. So I wouldn't believe in astrology because I think the position of the stars most likely will not have an influence on my life. I mean, to that extent. Of course, the stars and planets, they do have the gravitational effect on my body. I mean, the moon itself will have a gravitational effect on me It can change, probably it can change my mood to a small extent. But I wouldn't say that it will affect me to such an extent of finding my best partner or my career or whatever. I mean, I wouldn't believe astrology to that extent. This is what I had to say. Yeah. Yeah, Sujamsh, go ahead. You're raising your hand.
Hey, so I pretty much agreed with what you said, Ashwin. One disagreement. So when you say that the Newton's laws of motion were unscientific before it was discovered by Newton, that is something where I have contention with, because something which is unknown, something which was not tested before, because there was an intuition for people could see things falling if they throw something up. We have been throwing things since forever, right? So people already always understood that something worked like this. But what Newton, and even there are things even in our some of the Newton's laws of motion, if you look at the qualitative side of it, I think there are some things which are present even in us in our Vedas and scriptures.
Yeah,
right?
it's pretty in the Vedas.
But
I was about to say that.
it
Yeah.
is there. But what Newton's it's my understanding what Newton did, which was never done before, that he was able to quantify it in a manner that was qualitatively done by Indians or maybe some other other people. I don't know. But what my crux of what I want to say is that when this was discovered, it wasn't unscientific before; it was unknown, and there is a difference in both of these things.
No.
For a lot
Unknown is
of-
also
just
unscientific.
just 1 second. Just let me complete the point. The 6-7 things that like we discussed partly and which were part of the agenda also, we astrology, we other things. We have tested them. We haven't found the result, and there is no empirical. You have to be able to explain something bottom up how it is happening. It cannot be okay. There's no assumption why it will happen. There's no logic to it. Why somebody why astrology? What it does is, of course, one is the star, moon, and all of these positions, and also the timing when you're born. How will that matter now? If somebody, there has to be some causality of any framework which is being built. If that is not the case, then it is purely randomness, like which is called by a lot of people in today's call. But yeah, when it's something is unknown, it may be like what you said, Ashwin. It may be unscientific, but it is not necessarily the case, especially in the agenda that we have today of 4-5 points. For these, it has been tested, and there is no reason for it. And this is like one of the claims was also the
say unknown can be unscientific, right? Because when I propose a thesis, correct, it is unknown. I propose an hypothesis. Then we have gather evidence. Then we make, I mean,
exactly that is what I am
confidence. So then
Correct.
this is part of the scientific process. So unknown
Correct. I agree.
starts with unknown.
I
But
See,
Ashwin,
unknown-
earlier,
Sorry to
gravity was not that case. Gravity was, if people were thinking, were not able to come up with that framework. It can apply to anything. Kepler's laws, right? Like it was the first time when someone was able to build those relationships. Even though people were observing data, people were collecting data, and they were like, something is there, some connection is there. But Kepler was able to kind of get that equation right. So I would not say that things were unscientific. Newton's laws of motion were unscientific before they were discovered. And I agree with Lokesh, the point that he raised.
See, unscientific, okay, maybe we are not agreeing with the words, the language that we used here. What is science then? Science is experimentation, observation, and reasoning.
Mhm.
Okay. See, the clear formula, Newton's laws is G m1 m2 by r square, the inverse of the square of the distance and directly proportional to the product of their masses. And he also gave the constant value. If that is not there, until that point, that wasn't there. So until that point, it is unscientific. Unscientific in the sense that if someone had proposed the same thing before and if they were not able to prove, it is unscientific. If you do not know
what about
something,
feelings and emotions like love and all? Is it scientific or unscientific?
One just before that, just quickly
That
want to
is-
respond
okay,
to Ashwin.
okay.
Ashwin, what you mentioned was gravitational law. That is not Newton's 3 laws of gravity, right? So
No,
both,
see.
so it's slightly different. What you mentioned just now, because Gm1 m2 by r square is Newton's gravitational force to bola, but the 3 laws of motion are different. Newton's laws of motions are not the equation that you said, but yeah.
Okay. See, if you do not even know something, let's say you do not even know antimatter, what it is. Can it be scientific? It cannot be scientific, right?
Yes. No. It
It
starts
is
with the hypothesis.
It
No,
starts
it
with the
is
hypothesis.
It is neither scientific
Yes.
nor
See,
unscientific.
without
No, it is neither scientific nor unscientific.
No, without hypothesis, the scientific process cannot start, because the same gravity concept, like there could have been thousands of people come up with different hypotheses. Then we collect evidences. So when we collect enough evidences, our confidence increases. Then it becomes a theory. That's how it works. And so unknown is always part of the scientific process, I believe.
Agree with this? First, there is a hypothesis. Then you
Yes.
conduct experiments if you can.
Yes.
I mean, in some cases, you cannot conduct experiments because things are not under your control.
Yes.
Then you observe.
Exactly.
And then you reason about it.
Yes.
And then all
It
these
becomes
things.
a theory. It becomes a theory, but all these things are part of the scientific process.
Yeah, and it becomes unscientific once you do that, and you are basically not able to find, or you are not finding the evidence. For example, there's
No.
a hypothesis.
Wait. Here goes the case.
Okay.
Then the scientific will prove the opposite of it. See, if I take it for example, let's say case number 1. Okay, no experiment has been done for. I mean, see, in statistics, do you agree that at least 10,000 or 1,000 people should be observed, right? Let's say in the field of astrology, if we say that the position depends on their stars, just by coincidence, you can get one value right. So, I mean, if you do that for 10,000 people in statistics, then then it is highly improbable that out of coincidence you will get the theory right. So, no experiment, case 1, no experiment has been done for let's say at least 1,000 people. In this case, people prove, if people claim that astrology is still true, then it is unscientific. Agree? Everybody agrees with this?
No, right. I will say when you have this hypothesis, but when you cannot perform this or this, then it is unscientific. And you're claiming that is a truth, then it is
Yeah.
unscientific.
Yeah, that
But
is what
when
I've
you have
written.
hypothesis, yeah.
This is not unscientific.
No, it's not like experiment, no experiment conducted. It's like you cannot conduct the experiment.
Why can't we conduct? Let's say we take 1,000 people in the field of astrology. I'm taking.
No, let's say I come up with the hypothesis. Okay, I found a god. Okay, which is
No. Let's pertain to astrology. Let's pertain to my example piece. Let's say people born with the zodiac sign Pisces will have a very bright future. They'll be a scientist? I say.
Okay. So now let's take you disprove me. Okay, you are saying that that people born with this they become scientists, right? Now I disprove you. I am that. I hold this one basis, but I am not scientist. Then you say, then you are born in this place. That's why you're not scientific.
Now let me come to
scientist. Okay, so you keep piling up with some things that I cannot falsify that. So then it is unscientific.
See, I'll tell you now. Let's say experiment has been done on 1,000 people. I'll take the case of 2A. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I perform experiment on 1,000 people, and I say that I have found all kinds of people. I have found scientists. I have found doctors. I have found social scientists. I have found artists. I have found everything. In this case, I have proved the exact opposite. So I can say scientifically, I can say the hypothesis is false.
Yes. Unless I introduce another variable. I come and say, okay, you didn't include this. Okay, there is a girl child which is born in second generation before you. I will come up
let
with
me complete. Let me complete.
Then
Let me
it is
take the same. Yeah, let me complete. Now, let's say I do experiment 1,000 people and I have found only scientists. Okay, then hypothesis is true. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this case, it is scientific. I'm proving that proving the hypothesis is false is also scientific. Agree? Proving the exact opposite of the hypothesis is also scientific. You conduct experiment and you say that is false.
Yes.
Right? See, I observe. Let's say I observe and say that there will be day and night in a span of 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
What have you ordered? No, wait.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree this. See, you are conducting experiment, right? These all are scientific, whether the hypothesis is true or false. But the problem is If I keep introducing a variable, you have no way of conducting that experiment. Then it is unscientific claim. That's what I'm saying.
If no experiment has been done.
Not no experiment. You cannot conduct experiment. Now you're conducting experiment. Then it is scientific.
Wait. Let's say I'm taking the first case over here. Let's say I'm giving you the scenario. You tell me what do you think, if it is scientific or unscientific. Let's say no experiment has been done for at least 1,000 people. And people still claim that people born in Pisces will become scientists. People still think that way. Then that is unscientific, right?
Yes. Still
exactly.
No experiment.
You have no data.
Yes.
No experiment implies no data.
Yep.
Now, in some cases, you cannot conduct experiments. You cannot conduct experiments on heavenly bodies. You cannot place the sun exactly where you want it to be, or you cannot place the earth exactly where you want it from the distance of the sun. Correct? So in some cases, you cannot perform your experiment. You can only observe it. I can say that during summer, the earth is from such and such a distance. The earth will be hot. The temperature on the earth will be so and so degrees. But I cannot place the earth, let's say, back and forth. I cannot vary the distance of the earth from the sun. So experiments in that context cannot be performed. Correct?
Yes, observer. It can be observed. Yes.
It can only be observed. So, I mean, in that case, you have only hypothesis, observation, and reasoning.
Then also, I think it's scientific.
Yeah, if that holds good, it is scientific.
Yes.
If you prove the opposite, if you prove that the hypothesis is false also, then that is also scientific.
Yes.
Yeah, that is what I wanted to say.
Yes. When something is unscientific, yes, you have not completed any experiment or observation, but you believe that is true, then it is unscientific.
Exactly.
Or
that is what
when you cannot falsify something, right? You have a proposed hypothesis, but there is no way of conducting experimentation. There is no way of observing it. Then you're claiming that is also true. Then it is unscientific again.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
There is one more point.
Yeah, understood. See, I mean, the concept of antimatter was proposed in 1924 or something. Let me check it out. Antimatter, I mean, when was it proposed? Conceptually, it was something during this period. It started off. And the modern theory of antimatter began in 1928 with a paper, okay? Back then, they just had an intuition and they just proposed antimatter. But now, today, it is scientific. Today, if you combine one portion of antimatter with another portion of matter, 100% gets converted to energy. That is what they read in physics. So, I mean, only by intuition, some people come up with hypotheses. Until that point, until recently, I mean, 1 or 2 decades ago, or maybe this decade, it was unscientific, and this became scientific.
I think there is where I don't agree. See, I think this process itself is scientific. Scientific
I know,
process.
But
okay.
I mean, I know, I understood. But I'm telling you, this thing started off. Only the hypothesis was written in 1924. It's what I'm saying. And then the experiment and observation, this portion, all those things was done in 2000s.
Yep.
So what is the time until this point? I mean,
but
until
you cannot say it is unscientific, right? See, unscientific is if you remove in this equation, if you remove this and this and directly going for this from this, then it is unscientific. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there was only hypothesis. There was only hypothesis and there was nothing else. So that was unscientific. So again, as I said, at that point of time, since from 1924 to 2000, it was unscientific because it was only the hypothesis was there. Nothing else was there. I think
if you keep staying in hypothesis and if you're not going to here, then it can still be scientific, right?
No. They had a reason behind it. They believed that only with the presence of antimatter, the subatomic particles will function in so and so way.
No, yeah. See, that's what it's still an hypothesis. Without experimentation, without observation, They cannot confirm this hypothesis and make it with theory. Till
Hypothesis
that it
is
is
some
hypothesis.
statement. No. Hypothesis is some statement that you simply come up with.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what. The existence of antimatter was a hypothesis in 1924.
So that's what I'm saying, right? See, this whole process is scientific process. When
Yeah.
it becomes unscientific is, if it stays in hypothesis, it can still be scientific. But if it jumps from hypothesis directly to belief, becoming all, worldly truth, then it is unscientific.
Yeah,
Because you have not
I mean,
conducted any experiment, you have not observed anything, you're directly telling that is what it is. Then,
see, that's what I'm
then
telling.
it is unscientific.
Only by intuition, they directly jump from hypothesis to reasoning,
Then
back
it
in
is
1924. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But they did it by intuition, and they later proved it to be true. Later, other scientists proved to be true. You understood what I said?
Yes,
I mean, the
but
scientists
still,
in 1924 will not be alive in 2000s. He didn't do it.
No. The majority of the people, they would have still stayed in being an hypothesis. They would, only very few would have, okay, this is the reason. Okay. But there is no experiment, there is no observation. The scientific community will never conclude that as a theory unless
Exactly.
these both are
That's what I
things
said.
certain. But if scientific community has decided, okay, to directly jump from year to year, then it is totally unscientific. But they were staying there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they were staying here, and they believed that it existed. I mean, based on other things. I mean, based on how the atom behaves in certain conditions. So again, the people with the astrological mindset, they say that there is hypothesis, there are no experiments and observation. That is why it is unscientific. In the future, it will become scientific. Is there what they believe in? Yeah, some people have left. Suryamsh has left. Anybody else wants to say something?
No, nothing from my side. I think we have come to the conclusion, right?
Yeah.
That astrology is unscientific.
Astrology and other things.
Yeah.
What about rituals? Rituals, you believe in it. You said it. You said that you believe in it, despite being unscientific.
Not
So
rituals. I'm telling the mantra. I believe in mantra somewhat to change the vibration of the room.
Okay.
Yeah, we can use mantras.
I think I could add one more point. Instead of using the word true or false, we can say we have confidence in that with certain percentage. Because true and false always signifies is 100%. So you cannot say something 99% true. Right?
See, scientific truth, it will
See,
keep
I am
evolving
a
also, right?
software engineer. So I do testing. Okay. So I assert something that is true or false. So I am 100% certain this is going to be true. If it's not true, then it's false, then my test fails. But when I say I'm 99% true, that is kind of, I feel like it's pretty contradictory. We can say like I'm 99% confident in something.
Because
Okay,
science is always evolving, right, Lokesh?
Yeah, that's true. So
Yeah,
I
guys,
think
I'll ask you.
It keep changing.
I'll ask you guys one important question. Very important question.
Yes.
What is the scientific way of proving if you're the parent of a child or something like that? What is the scientific way of proving?
DNA test we can do.
Exactly, DNA test. Now, how many of you believe that the people whom you think are your parents are actually your parents? I believe none of us have actually done DNA testing, but we all believe that
yes,
the people.
That is where the true and false comes in place. But that is not more related to scientific experiment.
That is not science.
Unscientific, just an assumption like astrology, right?
That is very unscientific.
Yeah.
It is just our blind belief.
Just
that the people who claim to be our parents are actually our parents is just a blind belief, because we haven't done DNA testing and we don't even care to do DNA testing. We just trust their words.
Yeah.
It's just based on the set of actions that have happened, the amount of caring and love they've given us, just based on that.
Yeah. Though that is unscientific, right? All love, all those feelings are unscientific, basically.
I wouldn't say love is unscientific. Love is just an experience, I would say. Love
But
is
if I have to put in these two categories, then it is unscientific only, right?
love is something. It's hormonal thing, man.
It is just an experience.
It's an experience. It's hormones. It's the chemicals that the chemical reaction in your body.
Yeah,
Probably
biology.
it's something scientific. We need to read about papers, but it's just an experience. See, I'll tell you something. Let's say that you say that you thought about an ice cream, but you
Mhm.
cannot prove it.
Mhm.
Would it become scientific or unscientific? You cannot prove it to others that you are thinking about an ice cream in your brain right now.
It's unscientific.
Unscientific.
Yeah, you just cannot prove it, but you know that it's right, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, same
Same
thing.
way, I can feel love towards you, but I cannot prove it, right? That is also unscientific only. That is what I was saying.
Oh, you can still experiment with it, right?
You can express it, and based on observation.
Mhm.
Psychology is considered scientific. Psychology also, there is the spectrum between objective and subjective.
Yes,
Mathematics is the most objective thing,
yes. Mhm.
and philosophy is the least objective and most subjective thing.
Correct, correct.
So psychology lies somewhere towards subjective and less towards objective.
Yeah.
So you cannot
And
say that the person has 100% committed murder, or the 100% person is 100% lying, or whatever. You can
yes,
say it to a good extent.
yeah,
Through lie detector tests, through facial expressions, and so on.
yeah.
It
In that
need
way,
not
science
be.
is also objective. Religion is subjective, right?
Religion is different. Science can be partially objective and partially subjective as well. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, okay.
Psychology is a field of science.
Mm-hmm.
So psychology, I believe it falls under social sciences.
Yes.
Physics is very objective.
Yeah.
And medicine itself, if you go to the argument that we just had, we go to a doctor, we take medicine. Medicine also comes under science, but it is not 100% objective. See, you can take a medicine and still you may not get cured.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That is because I haven't understood biology 100%.
What about truth? We are talking about true and false, right? Is truth scientific or unscientific?
Truth is
Oh.
more logical. It's true or false lies with philosophy. It's more towards logic.
Mm-hmm.
See, true and false is like on and off switch. You cannot have something in between. So that's where I'm saying the title should be a little bit different, I guess. It should like be more
But there is some
confidence.
truth which is simply truth, right?
Yeah.
Some...
That's what
Truth.
the time I was talking with Surya, right? So when I say it's individual truth, I think truth has something to do with that aspect rather than coming to the topic of.
See, there is a universal truth that lies that we all are not aware of. The universal truth is, let's say, did Jesus Christ exist 2000 years ago? Did he exist? There lies a universal truth. If you ask a Christian, he'll say yes. If you ask a Hindu, he'll say maybe no. If you ask an atheist, he'll say no. I mean, that is the values that they give is different.
Own truth and
But
false.
that is personal truth and false is different. But there lies a universal truth, universal scientific truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is
That I
what we
agree,
are
yes.
talking about. Yeah. The universal truth is also different from scientific truth. The universal truth is actually what happened.
Yeah, that I understand. But when we say, I think this is where I am contradicting.
How else can I
It's
write
99.
it? I mean,
Maybe
I will.
it's
If I say 100%, then it gives a different meaning. Then that means that whatever is scientific cannot be false also. That's what you're saying. See, people, as I said, scientists can lie. Just to get
yes.
money, just to become famous, they can lie. They have done that in the past. You can read it online. And one more thing, we are not aware of certain parameters that exist in this universe, which when we come across can change whatever we think is science right now.
Yeah.
So how do you put this? If not 99%, I mean, how else can you formulate it?
He wants to put 100% true.
No, I don't think 100% true also is correct.
Has a good chance.
Maybe I'm say a 99% confident.
Confident,
This is
yeah,
correct. Okay. Yeah. 99% confidence is correct.
99%
Because that
confident.
can change. It can change. There is 1% as you. There is uncertainty that can.
It can be
come and
1 or
change.
5 or 10 or whatever.
Yeah,
it can be
depends.
even 20. Yeah.
Yeah. True. Agree.
Yeah. Anybody wants to say something? Redmi 13. You never spoke. You joined late as well. Anandita, you want to say something? Are you people there, by the way?
I am there.
Yeah, you two are here and the other two are not here. Okay, fine.
Yeah, I think it was a nice discussion.
Hello.
Thanks for conducting.
Yeah, Anandita, tell me. Yeah.
When I'm there, it was I'm just not able to unmute. Very good discussion, and I especially like the way you all were discussing the way how it is hypothesis to actual proving the scientific, non-scientific. Very good discussion.
Yeah. So what did you get out of this debate session? What I think is, what I wanted to convey is, we need to reason about our actions. We need to reason about our thoughts. We need to really question whether whatever we are doing, we are just blindly following other people, or we are reasoning about it to make
Sure.
sense of our lives, right?
Yeah, we have to
True.
go more internal actually rather than external.
Yeah, rituals, let's say, I mean, people follow rituals. I mean, you can just believe in God, you can pray to God, but should you do those rituals? Should you do it in that way only, just to pray to God? This is my question.
I mean, we just generally tend to go with the flow of life, right? It's been happening, so it continues to happen. Just to stop and take back a step and question it and why and all. Yeah, for some things we do, most of the things we don't do with the
Yeah.
rapid race of life, especially in Bangalore.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
because
the philosophy
is a
of life
difficult
is
process.
thinking is difficult, you said.
Yeah, I think that's why people don't ask questions. But I think to conclude my statement, I believe in a single line, if you want to say, it's we have to ask a lot of questions. Questions are the answers.
We need to ask questions. We need to look out on the internet. We need to ask people why they're doing it. And sometimes you go and ask this thing, a priest why he's doing it. He will give you some answer that will not even make sense to you. I mean, I go to meditation classes right in front of my house, meditation and yogasana, and it is tied with religion, Hinduism. They also do namaskara. They pray to different gods. He's telling, okay, God created you. You know, you must pray to God. I never questioned him. Like, even if I question him, why should we pray this way, that way? He will give you some answer and he will get irritated.
Right.
Even the rituals, if you tell your fiancée, I do not want rituals, I just want a live-in relationship, she will not agree to me.
True.
I was forced to undergo this in my marriage.
But I think there are people like you, right, who are like-minded and now understanding.
Yeah, but I was forced to undergo the rituals because otherwise she wouldn't marry me. Otherwise her parents wouldn't let her to marry me, at least.
That's okay. You enjoy the rituals. No? Don't follow it strictly. But you can enjoy the rituals, right?
Yeah, it can be fun sometimes.
Yeah.
Recently, there was a WhatsApp group. I mean, actually psychology group. The psychologist posted like, let the crackers lead your way. I questioned, what will the crackers lead us to? I said, air pollution, noise pollution. That's what I wrote. She said, that is what you think. And there are people who think the other way around. You should accommodate their thoughts as well. That's what she said. And then people started writing against me, saying that when you type a message, you're consuming electricity, and the electricity comes from coal plants. So you shouldn't be typing the message. You shouldn't be using the computer as well. Somebody
you are going
wrote
for meditation, right? So all these things should not affect you. That is the whole point of meditation, right?
You think so?
Yeah.
Meditation, I mean, okay, again, the philosophy is, is meditation really cutting off from the entire world, or meditation is to actually fix the world? What is it?
Neither of those. Even if you are a market, even if you are, it is about awareness, right? Living your each moment with awareness and going deep inside. The whole wisdom of this religion or everything is, you have to go deep inside and understand yourself first, right? It is about understanding yourself, how you are, going deep into yourself. Meditation is going deep into yourself, right? And learning about yourself.
Yeah, even if you go into deep into yourself, and how do you fix the world? Do you just disconnect yourself from the world, or you
You
try to
don't
fix it?
fix to the world. You cannot fix the world, right?
You
Even if
cannot.
you try to, you cannot fix the world.
But our freedom fighters, they fixed it. They fixed the country at least to some extent. If they
Yeah, but
thought that they couldn't do it, they wouldn't have done it. They got themselves jailed. They got themselves beaten up. They got themselves shot. But
mhm.
they succeeded in freeing ourselves from the British rule. They
Yeah,
tried.
you try to pass your message wherever you can. If people are listening. If they are not listening, then we cannot do anything, right?
Good
There
point.
are people who will come along with you, of course. People are changing, right? They are becoming more aware of meditation, going internal, right? Cutting off all this bullshit, things like that, which I
Mhm.
understand where you are coming from.
Yeah.
But we cannot impose something on others, right? For example, you told about crackers, right? Maybe in my childhood, I want to relive my childhood, right? For one day, like I want that happiness of burning crackers, something like that.
Mm. But people can change. I mean, now Supreme Court, there is ban in Delhi, right? Has the
Mhm.
law been passed, or is it yet to be passed?
No,
The
even
Supreme.
if the law is not passed, it is common sense what you told. We should
Yeah.
not burn crackers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but common sense is not so common. No? That is the problem.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Nice discussion. Anybody wants to say something to wind up?
Yeah, thank you, Ashwin, for conducting. You are very knowledgeable, and it was nice listening to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
and
you guys can propose your own topics. I
yeah.
mean, there are links in the WhatsApp chat description. You can propose your own topics. I mean, I do not know how the owner of this debate club group he will filter out the topics, or whether he will accept or reject it, or
Mhm.
when he will schedule it. But if you come across something that needs to be debated, you can debate it. I mean,
Yes,
this group is to have an impact on people, to convince other people, also to listen to their point of view. Maybe you can change, you can make them change, or both can change.
correct.
When this group becomes famous, we can take this group to the people in power, like the members of the parliament, and we can voice out our opinion, the voice of the common people, common man, and we can bring
Definitely.
a change.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. See you guys.
Yeah, see you. Thank you so much.
See you. Goodbye.
See you next week.